Hey guys, how's it going? So another same match here with Khabib versus our friend Bob, who's currently almost on Khabib's back at this point, looking to establish and maintain control with his seatbelt grip. In this situation, of course, seatbelt grip's a great option. There are plenty of other options, but Khabib looks like he's trying to get up to his feet, right? So when Khabib's trying to get up to his feet here, seatbelt option starts becoming a little bit less of the dominant paradigm. I know that in Jiu-Jitsu, getting a seatbelt from Turtle is almost an inevitability as far as how the metagame goes, right? So you're just most jiu-jitsu players are extremely interested in obtaining the seatbelt and then moving on, right, and trying to take the back. In wrestling, right, the seatbelt is not nearly as common, partly in folk style because you're not allowed to get like a waist grip where you link your hands, and then partly because most people are trying to stand back up to their feet in wrestling, right? So people kind of go back down towards the legs, trying to keep people down on the floor. So we'll take a look at how Khabib tries to get up to his feet and how this kind of backpack situation unfolds. So as Khabib gets up, he looks for the single, and then the grip breaks, right? So again, this kind of just illuminating the idea that the seatbelt grip is not necessarily the best tool or mechanism to hold somebody down on the floor. It is one of the best tools and mechanisms in order to take the back, right? So if you have strong control over someone on top and you've established a dominant positioning in Turtle, moving to the seatbelt and starting to take the back might actually be the correct theoretical idea, right? So like that would be the right progression as far as like, best grappling theory would be. However, I believe if somebody's trying to stand themselves up to their feet, it may not be in your best interest to just have a seatbelt and try to take the back, especially if the person is very strong and is able to get back to their feet within the next couple seconds. I think at that point, it kind of behooves you to look down towards the legs and try to chop the legs out from underneath them again, so that way they have a difficulty getting up to their feet and you can continue to maintain top control. Even if they start rolling back towards guard, you still maintain top position. You don't have to wrestle them back down again, right? Because, I mean, in my opinion, this, at least especially in this match, this was Bob's best chance at winning, right? So, and I think that if you're grappling someone as good as Khabib, if you get a chance where you're on their back for a second, that's probably the best chance you have, and you'd like to maintain top position as long as possible in order to have that best chance of winning, right? So I think that he played it a little bit too aggressively for where he was, and I think that just playing it slightly more conservatively would have given him a better or a longer standing chance at a position where he could do a submission, right? So as we move on from here, Khabib's going to do a little bit of a foot tap, and he's going to look for an overhook, and then now we're going to reset kind of back into the middle because things got chaotic. And then now Khabib's still kind of coming in with a bit of a bladed stance here. His feet are a little bit more in line. He switches back and forth between each stance. Here it is a beautiful foot sweep, goes right to an overhook, and then he starts with his Uchimata. Now there's a beautiful sequence right here. I'm not going to break down exactly what just happened. It was just basically a little foot sweep into an overhook Uchimata, right? But this specific part I think is incredibly important. This happens all the time for me because I love my overhook and I love the Uchimata, right? So he places his hand on the floor, very common position to be in when you do your Uchimata. He's trying to lift this leg up as high as possible up here in order to off balance his opponent. You can see how the level of comfort in the body position here is much better than the level of comfort in the body position here, right? The angle is much more subtle with Khabib versus his opponent, right? And this is why that Uchimata works. As this leverage increases, the angle starts softening, right? So it gets more and more acute, and then eventually this leg will either whip out backwards, right, or the person will kind of roll over. So that's why this Uchimata takedown works very nicely. Now, of course, from here, another option that you have is that you can try to drive the foot up into the ceiling, and then when it doesn't work, you can swing it out this way, maintain your overhook, and go to front headlock. So we'll see how Khabib plays it out, but as this works, it tends to be quite common that there's Uchimata and then a swing out. So here he goes Uchimata hard, eventually stops, he goes back up, Uchimata again, and then there's the swing out. And he goes straight into this guillotine, fails, gets up, pushes him over. So interesting little sequence there. I think it doesn't necessarily illustrate the most perfectly technical version of an Uchimata into a sit out into a front headlock. It's not by the book, but it's a great demonstration of kind of how the scrambling works in those kind of situations, right? So right here, he doesn't do a perfect sit out with his leg, but he gets himself to the front headlock. So he was here, Uchimata again, front headlock.